here. What's up, everybody? It's your favorite clever accessories favorite nerd, and today we are looking at Badcube's Lorry, which of course is their take on Hoist. We have a lot of accessories to talk about, and then we have the figure to talk about, but before we do, there's a couple things I need to get out of the way. It seems as though people are happy with the new intro, and that makes me happy. Just as a heads up, there are a number of reviews that I shot last year with the old intro that I haven't published yet, so they will be coming with the old intro. But the new intro is definitely here to stay. Just got a few left to upload and get out there before it's a totally clean slate. Secondly, this was sent to me by Titan One Toys. I had to send it back. It's just a copy to review. And I wanted to show you, because I mentioned it before, this is the inside of their box. And they send candies and stuff in every box. So that's pretty cool. It's a nice little touch they do. I was thinking maybe one day as like a little discussion video, or maybe in place of a skit or something, to do like a little, like why I use certain companies to buy toys, and you know, without trashing any of the other companies I don't use, just why I use the companies I use, if that would be beneficial to you guys. If so, let me know, and I will add that to my to-do list. I've had the opportunity to deal with a lot of toy companies out there in terms of distributors, from 215 to GCI, Titan One, like all these like smaller companies that I don't think a lot of people are aware of that offer some really good customer service and stuff. And if that would be something that you guys would be interested in, I'll do it. If not, then I won't. I'll say if I got 10 responses, then I'll do it. Let's get him out of the way for a second before we get to talking about him too much, and then we'll get back to him. Let's get these accessories out of the way. So he comes with these two fellas and a horse. Now there is some interchangeability here. Just to break it down real quick, we'll go through one and then we'll go through the other. Now, if you guys remember, they did Chip Chase with Sun Surge, and a lot of people had a lot of criticisms about him, and these are kind of no exception. So each one comes with two accessories. A shield. This one has a little king symbol painted on there, and the shield is painted. It looks shield. Yeah, it looks like the shield is painted. I don't know. And then he also comes with a little jousting thing. And the end of it is painted silver, and I think the bottom of it is painted brown as well. It's a flimsy, like a softer plastic here, which is nice because otherwise it would be brittle. However, it doesn't really fit in the hand, and it gives you a lot of hard times going into the hand. And I eventually just called it quits on this one. Now, if you'd like him riding the horse or riding Warpath or whatever you'd like to do, you can do that. But I'm going to go through the articulation real quick. So the arms are on swivels, the waist swivels, and that's it. And then we have this yellow paint here, which is done okie dokie. It gets out of the lines in a number of places and doesn't quite fill out in a number of places. And then we have the yellow on top, which, given yellow, isn't a bad job. So if you want him to do that, you just pull his torso out, and then you connect this interchangeable piece that he comes with, which is like seated. And it is a bit challenging to get it in, so to speak. But we'll see if we can't persevere. There. And then two legs that can peg in here. And I don't know if there's a right and a left, but I think we're able to illustrate it either way. And that's that. And if you mess with it a bit more, you can get it stuck in for him. And then for him, he comes with the horse. The horse does stand in the stand. It is a bit challenging to get all these little pegs in there, but it does have 3 pegs and 3 corresponding holes for those pegs. And he comes with a different lower body as well. No articulation in the lower body. The articulation is the same for the upper body, and then this piece just pegs into the horse. This one obviously doesn't peg into the horse, but you can have him ride Warpath, I guess, or whatever. You can have him ride whatever you want. And he comes with a longer, skinnier javelin, but it's that softer plastic, so you have even a harder time getting it to stay in the shape you'd like it to. And then a plain brown shield here. And then the horse itself is, you know, it's painted. It's not painted extremely well. It does look like it's hand painted. And it's fine. It's like an E for effort kind of a thing. It's a nice thought. And then, of course, Hoist comes with his javelin and shield as well, which we'll take a look at a bit later. Which brings us to this fella. Rolls like a champ. I think we immediately see that it doesn't quite... I've had a hard time getting this thing to stay all put together, but that it doesn't quite clean up as well as Trailbreaker, but it still looks good. This green finish on the die cast and on the sides of the arms, it all looks great. The white stripe, the yellow stripes on the black looks pretty good. There's a couple places where it gets off, but for the most part, I don't think it would bother you. Looks good. The chrome inside the wheels, softer side mirrors, and then we actually have like the working hoist, so to speak, which you can clip onto this, and this trailer can come down if you'd like as well. And this has a chrome hook, and you can hook it here, and then you can also use it and lift that bit up there. And if you want to crank it up, you can. You kind of have to use one hand. Let's see if I can show you better. Use one finger to hold tension, and then the other finger to wrap. So you like let go, wrap, hold tension, let go, wrap, hold tension, and you can do it fairly quickly after you get the kind of hang of the technique of it, rather. And when you get it to a certain point, I would go ahead and hook it, because it gets a little challenging afterwards. You know? And that's a nice touch. I dig that. It's a thought. You know, it's care. Nice chrome bumper, and it's a sharp looking truck. I think they did a good job. I think they did a good job with Trailbreaker, and I think they did a good job with this guy. I think it does its part. And he does not fit into Optimus. He kind of gets jammed up in the top bits. So, no cigar there. And size comparison wise, there he is with Tiger Tracks. So, I'd say right on the money. Looks pretty good. There's something I got to clear up with Tiger Tracks real quick. Two more things, actually. One is, I never said I wasn't going to use Tiger Tracks again. What I said was that I'm going to always throw him into this bucket, and then we're going to check and see what his condition is like after a year of not cleaning him up, which I just did. But anyway, so that's what I said there. And then secondly, so I was debating on whether or not to transform this guy into robot mode and then show the transformation backward into truck mode. I know many people would have appreciated that, and I totally get it. But unfortunately, I'm not going to do that. This is not mine. Excuse me, and I have to send it back. And I was even reluctant to take this review on because I haven't decided which hoist I'm getting yet. And when Titan One Toys reached out to me and asked me if I would be interested in reviewing it, I said, I'm interested, but I was concerned about the transformation and the wear and tear the transformation will have on the toy. And they told me, look, just transform it into robot mode and bubble wrap it and send it back. Don't worry about transforming it back. We'll take care of it on our end. And that's how much they wanted me to take a look at this figure. So like I definitely appreciate that. And it wasn't really that I was afraid to transform it.
Are you afraid?
No.
Are you sure you're not afraid?
Me? Afraid? I don't think so.
You really kind of look afraid.
No, I'm not afraid.
I think you're probably afraid.
Okay, I'm a little bit afraid. Oh, here we go. Once again, we're going to open these pieces here. And this is a little bit different. There are a couple different nuances about this. And then this piece here, we're going to bring this down and unhook it. And then we're going to split these apart. We're also going to bring the rear bumper up and then these side panels up. And this is just to kind of free up all the moving elements. And then we're going to open this piece up here. And that should give us the room we need to work. There's then these sliding bars here. We're going to slide this all the way down by grabbing the green piece and pulling down on both sides. And that opens up the front. We're then going to fold these forward, fold these down, and slide the thighs out. And I'm going to go right by the instructions for this. I know people really want to see Badcube transformation step by step, so I'm going to go exactly by the instructions step by step. Let's see. Open this piece up down here and flip this whole piece. It's pegged in down at the bottom. Flip that whole piece up. So looking at the side of it, you should have a big mess. Tuck this yellow part up. Tuck this piece up. And tuck this piece around so that it all kind of covers that yellow piece. Now, just arrange, there's double hinges in here. There. So that's pretty close. Extend the foot and turn it that way. Okay, these feet are kind of brilliant, and I'm not exactly sure how it even happens, but let's try to go through it. So rotate this, make sure that you have it like this first of all, where it's flat here, where your thumb is on the wheel well. You have this die-cast piece hinging down, and rotate just this part down. So grab this and move this with your thumb, and then move this piece out and this piece out. Then you want to rotate just the bottom piece that way. Then you can move here at this gray hinge up. Move this piece down and this piece down, and that forms the foot. And then turn here to get it in, and then on the other underside, you can kind of clean it all up. All right, so we have another foot leg, and it's a mess, right? So try to make it easy on yourself. Keep this gray plastic piece here flat. That should kind of put this rear piece of the hitch in the proper place. Open up the back of the calf, wrap it around that, and that comes in and plugs in at the bottom of the front of or the middle of the front of the shin. And then for the other foot, you have the advantage of using this one as a reference, so you know that, for instance, that gray piece has to come back around on itself, and then you can kind of orient around that, you know, without following necessarily the proper steps and procedures, and that will make it a lot simpler. And then just clean it up. And then the last thing that you want to do in that regard is you want to slide, let's see if I can't show you on another one. Slide the bottom of the shin into the knee. This one's giving me some trouble. There. To kind of keep everything locked together. And now for the front half. So you want to flip this up. It's a little bit challenging. It was on Trailbreaker as well. And then you want to, let's see, open these pieces up here and just sort of bring the arms out and hopefully remain oriented at the same time, which can be a little bit more challenging. There we go. So then I find that if you have this piece on the inside, it helps, but it doesn't help me show you what's going on. So we're gonna do our best. Inside here is a little slider. Can you see it? So you want to push this green piece out and then push this down to lock on to the gray plastic underneath. So it's that tab right there that you're looking for. And it's a little hard to do it on camera. There we go. And then this comes to the back, 1, 2, and then let's see here. This piece comes up, spins around, locks back down, so a little different than Trailbreaker in that regard. And then on this side, we'll show it again. So we come out, we take a look at what we need to do. So we need to move this gray loop over to the right. Oh, that one moved much easier. Lock that into position, come around to the back, untab this piece. Oh, what's happening here? Oh, we want. I spoke too soon. It's like my problem with Badcube products is like I get a little confident. There. So that's all tabbed in. And then this piece actually has the little part that slides out. Voila. And as we know from Trailbreaker, we're not quite out of the woods yet. So we're going to open these. I think you're supposed to just move this one piece, but it's kind of got a life. It's got a life of its own now. And this piece comes up, and then this piece flips up. And we'll tab our shoulders in now, which is just by moving this piece up and latching on to there. You got to come up over this translucent plastic piece. So double hinge up and in. On the abdomen, you'll notice 2 pegs here and 2 ports there. They come down and plug in. That should push the entire torso piece back a taste, but let's get it plugged in first. And then you can move these pieces out and clip them on to the sides, kind of forming his flank and locking it also into position. And then lastly, much easier than Trailbreaker, just keep these armatures out of the way. Well, not quite lastly, but close enough. You're gonna bring this piece down. These are tabbed in securely. It's just gonna sit up in there. You just really wanna make sure that this is sitting flush. So be mindful of this rope, it does get obnoxious. You can take it out if you want to. And then close this piece up by tabbing it into the back of him. There's like 2 tabs and there. And then it's hard to tell from the instructions, but it seems like you just bend this one in, this, like there's 3 sections here. Bend the middle one in and raise this one up. So minimum in, and then basically it just comes down to cleaning them up, which I will do, and then we'll take a look. Okay, so at last, let's talk about the figure. The head sculpt is great, and the paint finish, both on the head and the chrome on the eyes, is spectacular. Beautiful, beautiful work. The green paint that was on the truck that we've already talked about still looks good, in case you were curious. We have a waist swivel, a little bit of squeaks, and we have a ball peg for the head, which gets you great range up to there. Down, not so much, and then the swivel, and you can even get a little confused dog look. For the shoulders, it's the same as Trailbreaker. You have a hinge to a ball peg, so you get up to there, so not hindered at all, and the swivel on the ball peg, it works. The ball peg is holding up well, so no problems there. No, you got a bicep swivel, right here, and then you have a single hinged elbow that gets you 90 degrees, wrist swivel, and then you have mitten hands, Mac mittens. Shout out to Sunday Heat. And then the same for the other side, except you have this, which does extend if you are curious. Otherwise, it's the same. These things here, it seems like this is the way they are. You can put them up and put the side mirror inside there, and that will kind of hold it out at an angle if that suits you. It's not the best. It's, you know, the hinges aren't tight, so it kind of flops about, which is a little unsettling. It's not what you want. It's a little messy, to be quite honest. So we move down. We do have a little bit of an ab crunch forward. I don't think it's necessarily intentional, and it doesn't really hold, but you can get it, so let's give it to them. We've already talked about the waist. The hips are on universals. They get you out to there. It's just friction. Let's close this up. And out to here. The knees are double jointed, but they still only get you a little bit like 90 degrees. 90 degrees. You can get that on the single joint, to be quite honest. And then you also get a thigh swivel. There's not much additional paint other than the paint that comes across in truck mode, not unlike Trailbreaker. Let's back that out a little bit. And then for the feet, you have an ankle tilt down, nothing really up, and a great rocker. So that all works really well. I will say that, like, let's look at the back. This thing is obnoxious. It's great in truck mode, but it's hard to keep out of the way in robot mode. I guess you can wrap it around one of those. You can also articulate these wings if you were curious. The back of them is fairly clean, so that's nice. I will say, like, all this leg stuff, it's as fiddly as it looks. It doesn't work as well as the Trailbreaker one in that regard. Size comparison wise, there he is with Make Toys Grapple, Masterpiece Inferno, and Badcube's Trailbreaker. I wanted to show this. It's hard to tell from the perspective, but he's a good bit shorter than Trailbreaker, and you can extend the bottom calves if you want to make them taller. Final thoughts wise, I think this is definitely one of those instances where the mold was definitely created with Trailbreaker in mind and then adapted to make Hoist work. And as a result, I don't think Hoist works as well. I appreciate them trying to take into account a few things in order to make it unique, such as the legs and the arms and so forth, just to give it a different height. Like that's a very, very ambitious undertaking instead of just going for the straight repaint remold. And I think that deserves respect and at the very least acknowledgement. Unfortunately, it just doesn't ultimately pay off in the end. There's a couple fiddly elements to the knees and the calves along with those wings on his back. And like I said, that's the one part of the instructions that seems a little unclear. So maybe I have them wrong. I'm very open to that being the case. It's just there's a couple things here that just don't work as tight as Trailbreaker. The rest of it does work fairly well, but we have to start off on the negatives so that we can finish on the positives. A fair amount of positives to talk about. The articulation pretty much works across the board. There's no real hindrances throughout. The only thing that gets a little weird are the knees, and it's just a matter of keeping everything together while manipulating them. The paint is beautiful. I think that finished paint is a real necessity for what most of us consider to be that masterpiece aesthetic. Like when we think of masterpiece and we think of the way that it looks on the shelf, I think that finished paint coat that we see like on the hood there, that shimmer coming off of it, is something that it goes hand in hand with it. And there's not enough companies that are doing it. And I feel like Takara even is getting away from it, unfortunately. That's not to say we haven't seen some. Inferno had a nice coat of paint, but I'm just saying. Shockwave. Back to this guy. There are a number of things here that look really good as a result. The hood, the chest, all that stuff, it works really well. The head, all that stuff, it works really well. Like I said before, I love the little things they kind of took into account in order to give this guy his own unique identity and aesthetic. I do dig that. And don't get me wrong, you can do a lot of those things, like you can fold up the doors and stuff and just have a small piece hanging off the back to make it look more like the Trailbreaker one. But I think that most of us want him to have a unique look. And either way, I think it's a nice way to approach a repaint / remold. The truck mode is beautiful, but even that doesn't quite perform the way that Trailbreaker does. I love little things like the Knights. I love little things like the winch on the back. I think all that stuff is really cool, and I think all that stuff gives it a very unique flavor. Unfortunately, it just doesn't quite do it. And I think I don't think I can recommend this as strongly as I recommended the Trailbreaker, because it's just not as strong. It bums me out because Titan 1 has been really good to me. They sent me that shredder to take a look at, and then they sent me this to take a look at, and I haven't liked either, and I feel bad not recommending it, but the truth is I just don't care for it as much. I appreciate the effort, and I appreciate the care that went into this. It is obvious, but in the end, it just doesn't stand as strong as you would want a masterpiece hoist to stand. I think there are a fair amount of people in the fandom that are going with MMC Trailbreaker and Badcube Hoist, and my personal opinion is it might be worth looking at the opposite way. Badcube Trailbreaker is a pain to transform, but it does perform extremely well, whereas this one doesn't quite do it for me. I'm not sure if there's a better option. I haven't looked at the MMC one yet. I've been trying to. I just haven't had the opportunity. I might be buying the hoist now, or I might wait and see with Fanstoys or X-Transbots or rumored Takara ones, or, there's all, Trailbreaker, Inferno, now here comes Jazz. But anyway, I can't recommend this one. If you like it, you win, but yeah, it's not for me. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.